Welcome everyone to Amud Yomi, where Makos Daf Yud Ches Amud Aleph, where today's Amud is Ches Amud Base, but where Yud Ches Amud Aleph, the second line from the bottom, and the Gemara says, "V'lil kinami k'derebe Elezer." So we're talking about the sentence the Rava said that someone, a zar, a non-Kohen, who ate an ola, korban ola, outside the Beis HaMikdash before Zrika gets 5 malchus. The one wants to know he should also get malchus k'der Rebbe Elezer, like Rebbe Elezer says. The Rebbe Elezer, it says in the pasuk, "Lo yochal," don't eat it, ki kodesh. Who? Don't eat it because it's kodesh. Now, actually, what this pasuk is talking about is noisar. That if you leave something, let's read the pasuk inside. It says, if you left something over, I'm just reading the pasuk. I have a river. So after some noisar beish, you should burn the noisar. Anything that's left over the next day, you have to burn. And don't eat it. It says don't eat it. It doesn't just say don't eat it. It says don't eat it. Ki kodesh, it's kodesh, implying that anything that's kodesh, it's like another issa. Anything that's kodesh you can't eat unless it's when you're supposed to eat it. Otherwise, why is it ki kodesh? Meaning it's kodesh. Don't eat it. So the Gemara learns, Kol shebakaidesh pasol. Ba kasoliten lo yisasei ala achila. So anything that's kaidesh and you can't eat it, there's another lo yisasei. You have a new lo yisasei called lo yisaichal kaidesh. Don't eat kaidesh. Don't be eating kaidesh. You have a new lo yisasei. Obviously, there's a question here. Isn't this what we spoke about before? Lav shebachalalis. Isn't this a generalized lav? So it's only going to be a kasha. There's a machlekes of shainim. If this maimer of Rava was you get 5 malchus, it means malchus mamish, or it just means 5 lavim. If it means malchus mamish, then this is a lav shebachalalis. This is a generalized lav. Kol shebakaidesh, trumas, maisus, anything. But if Rava just talking about, so Rashi says it means just it's 5 isurim. It doesn't mean malchus mamish. It means 5 isurim. In that case, there's no problem with lav shebachalalis. Lav shebachalalis is only that you can't give a guy malchus. You can have a kalal lav that says don't become tomei. Okay, don't become tomei. It's also, it's still also. You don't get malchus for it. Don't eat kodesh. It's also, you just don't get malchus. So that's Gemara's kasha. We'll see maybe Taisus addresses what I said about the lav shebachalalis. We'll see it inside maybe. So Gemara answers, Hani Meli, you know why this is not a lav? You know why you don't get malchus because of this? Hani Meli heicha to kaidem psul chazui. Hacha to kaidem psul nami loy chazi. You know when you get this lav of lo yochel kodesh, that's when kaidem it was pasul, you could eat it. Here, kaidem psulay nami loy chazi. Here you couldn't eat it. Because we're talking about an oila. You can't eat it. You can never eat an oila. So therefore, this lo yisaychal kodesh doesn't apply. It's basically very similar to the previous drashas. When does this lav apply? It only applies if before you could eat it. Now you can't. It's coming to give you a specific issa. You think you could eat this? No, you can't because you got the lav kosher b'kodesh. But since here we're talking about oila, and the zar could never eat the oila, or no one can eat oila, so therefore it's not. This lav does not apply. Now the Gemara has a new kasha. Actually, before you see the next kasha, let's just see Taisus. Kol sheb'kodesh parcel. Taisus says, "V'im taima." If you're going to ask me, "Amayle mishani," why does the Gemara not answer? Mishamachi leilaki. This is why you don't get malchus. To have a lav shebachalalis. The kailel psul, the eitz of v'tamei psul macherim. This lav comes to include a whole bunch of other psulim. It's called the lav shebachalalis. So skip to the fourth line at the end of Taisus. Yesh leimar. Taisus says de'ena chanami. You're right. It could have answered this. This would be a valid answer, lefi the way I'm learning, that we're talking about malchus mamash here. Hayochal l'shnuya, you could have answered, aval adifim minei mishani. No, it could have said it's a lav shebachalalis, but there's a better answer. And this is a better answer. The leimari klal. This lav isn't talking about that. Now, you always want to give the better answer. The better answer is, you're right, it's a lav shebechalalis. That would be a good reason why you don't get malchus. There's a better answer. The law doesn't apply here at all. It's not talking about a guy who couldn't eat it anyway, kind of zrika. He's never allowed to eat this. So this law doesn't apply b'chal. In other words, the Gemara is going to the emes. You want to know why you didn't say that answer? Yeah, that answer is another answer. But this is a more of an emistic answer. This is more the truth. Because you can't get malchus either way. Even if it wouldn't be a lav shebechalalis, you couldn't get malchus. Okay, so says Gemara, Velilki, Nami, another kasha. Give him malchus for another pasuk. There's another drasha of Rabbi Eliezer. The Tanya, it says in the Brisa, Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Eliezer says, Koshu b'chalil tiyah. Anything that have to be chalil tiyah, the whole thing should go up in smoke, right? The whole thing should go up on the mizbeach. What does it mean chalil tiyah? Litten leisa say ala chila. Sorry. You have a leisa say if you eat it. Anything that you have to burn completely, there's a leisa say if you eat it. Chalil tiyah. The whole oil is supposed to be burnt. More answers there. Nachanami, you're right. V'rava mehaikra kamar, and this is what this is one of the lavim that Rav is bringing down. Sorry, Nachanami v'rava mehaikra kamar. You're right. You could have bought it. Sorry, that's how I answered the Gemara originally, but that's not what it means. Enachanami v'rava mehaikra kamar. You're right. He could have answered from this pasuk, kol tiyah. But Rav is only bringing the 5 lavim you get from the pasuk that Reb Shimon bought. That pasuk of Reb Shimon of lo yisuchol lechol b'sharecha, don't eat in your shar. From that pasuk he learned 5 lavim, 5 malchus. Only from that pasuk he got 5 lavim, 5 malchus from the pasuk of Reb Shimon. But you're right. This is another pasuk, kol tiyah, and he can give you malchus for this pasuk also. But Rav is not talking about all the psukim. It's a massive chiddush to say that. Rav seems to be saying he eats this, you get 5 malchus. What Rav really meant was, if you eat something, if you eat this zar that eats outside the mikdash, he's going to get 5 malchus from this Reb Shimon. But you're right, he'd get another malchus from Rabbi Eliezer. Just that's a different pasuk. He wasn't talking about that pasuk. It could be he gets other malchus for other things also. He's not talking about that. So it turns out that all the tuats that we had till now, you don't need, because they're all different psukim, right? So the question is do all those answers stand? That's what one of the Rishonim discussed. Do all the other answers we had till now, once you have to come onto this tiritz, right? Once you come onto this tiritz that he needs, that he's only referring to the pasuk of lo yisuchol lechol b'sharecha, so do all the other tirutzim fall off? In other words, the issa is only chal if you didn't, if you could have eaten it before. Those are all the tirutzim until now. You only have this issa if it was mutter without the issa. So is all that gone now? Okay. And Nachanami Rav Haikra Kama. Amar of Gidl Amar. This is a new member now. Amar of Gidl Amar Rav. Kain sha'achal mechatos v'asham lifnei zrika. So you have a kain, not a zar. Now we're on to a kain. Sha'achal mechatos v'asham. He eats a chatos, he eats a asham, but he eats lifnei zrika. You have to wait till zrika's adam. The zrika is where you get the kapara, right? That's a void in Yom Kippur, achas. The zrika, that's the fun part, right? So, but what's it then? The kain eats before zrika, he gets malchus. My time. Why does he get malchus? Lamakra, it says in the pasuk, v'achlu aisam asher kupa behem. You should eat that which you have a kapara on, right? V'achlu aisam asher kupa behem. If you get kapara, you get malchus. No kapara, no malchus. Sorry, if you have kapara, you eat. So, but this is a Lashon essay. This is not a lace essay, right? V'achlu aisam doesn't say don't eat if you didn't do zrika. Well, they're saying you did zrika, now you can eat. That's what it means. V'achlo, so eat it, asher kupa b'hem, after you have a kapara, right? So why'd you get malchus? This is just the essay, no? So la'acha kapara in, after you have a kapara in, eat. Lifnei kapara loy. After the kapara, if there's before a kapara, no, don't eat. So lav abba michlal essay. Any love that comes from an essay, the Torah says do something, but from that we're saying don't eat before. Lav abba michlal essay, lavu. That's called a lav. And therefore you get malchus for it. Even though it doesn't say don't do it, you get malchus for it. That's his klal. Lav abamachal essay lavu. It's still a lav, even though the Torah says it in the terminology of a positive, active commandment. Masiv Rava asks him, behema mafreses pasa v'shesa. It says in the pasuk, any animal mafreses pasa v'shesa shtei process malegera behema ayisa toichelu. It says only eat an animal that stung. Now we're talking about regular, nothing to karbonis. We're back to now regular treif. It says eat something that's split hooves, choose the card. That's what you should eat. Ayisa toichelu, that you should eat. Ayisa toichelu, the Gemara learns of ein behema acheres toichelu. Other animals don't eat, right? We see from this pasuk that you can't eat other animals. In other words, there's a law to eat any other animal, if you what you're saying till now. Either Amrus, if it's true what you're saying, that this becomes a lav, the next pasuk is don't eat everything else. So what do you need as a loiseichel? What do you need that for? Don't eat all the other things. I know this lav from when the Torah says eat this, I know automatically don't eat anything else, right? And you've got a lav on it. So basically, he says the whole klal, this whole principle that a lav abamachal essay is a lav, that's not true. Otherwise, why would you need a lav? It says don't eat aneves, don't eat rabbit, and don't eat everything else. I don't need that. Once it says eat anything that has the split hooves, choose a cup, I'll know that there's a lav on everything else. You get malchus for everything else. So ela itmar, hochi itmar. So what did Rav Gidel really say? What did Rav Gidel Amarav really say? He wasn't talking about kain, he was talking about a zar. Zar sh'achol mechates v'asham. So he changed it from a kain to a zar. This is what he really said. Zar sh'achol mechates v'asham. He sticks to the same thing. He's eating the same thing. He's eating a chates v'asham. Lifnei zrika, before zrika, he's still on the lifnei zrika. So he's eating the same thing. It's a chates v'asham lifnei zrika, but now instead of talking about kain, really he was talking about a zar. And instead of being chayav, he says potter. The previous mirror he said a kohen that eats it is like a. He said that can't be. Alama, what does he mean? He means a zar that ate before zrika is potter. He doesn't get malchus. So my timer, why does he not get malchus? The Makra, he's bringing the same pasuk. Eat it when you have a kapara. Wherever you could say the pasuk, wherever it's called, considered, wherever you have a kapara, karina bay, only if there's a kapara, there's a pasuk of don't eat the kodesh apply. Whenever you don't say you can eat it, here you can't eat it because it's fnei zrika. It doesn't say here on this. It doesn't say like karina bay v'zal lo yochal. So therefore, there's no issa of v'zal lo yochal. So this zar that eats the kaidim zrika, it's not going to be also for him. Only after zrika, where he can't eat, where it's mechaper. Only when it's mechaper do we say that now it's also for the zar to eat it. Only the kain can eat it now. So that's what was Rav Gidel Amarav was telling us, that a zar that eats chatas v'ashav lifnei zrika, he's potter, because no one can eat it then. The kain also can't eat it. Amar Belazar, Amar Rav Haishia. Now we're going to get into the subject of bikurim. Bikurim, hanocha makeves behem. So a guy brings his first fruit to the Beis Hamikdash, right? He drags his peiros to the Beis Hamikdash, and the Torah says you can't eat it. The question is, when can he not eat it? Right? That was a diak. From when can he not eat the bikurim? Hanacha makeves behem. So it says Rabbi Elazar, when he puts the fruit in front of the mizbeach, only then can he eat it. Before you put it on the mizbeach, before you put it next to the mizbeach, he could eat it. Sorry, he can't eat it. He can only eat it once it goes next to the mizbeach. But kriya ein makeves behem. He has to say the whole pasuk of the part in the Chumash, Aram Yevidavi. He says that when he brings the bikurim, right? But the kriya ein is makeves. So in other words, before the Hanacha, he can't eat it. But he can eat it if he didn't do Kriya. The Kriya isn't Ma'akav. Umi Amar Rabbi Elazar, Hachi did Rabbi Elazar really say this? For Amar Rabbi Elazar, Amar Rabbi Hoshea, we have another member from Rabbi Elazar, Amar Rabbi Hoshea. Hifrish Bikurim Koidem Lechag. He's talking about Sukkot, right? He brings the Bikurim to the Beis HaMikdash before the Chag. Vav Aleim Chag, and then the whole Chag went past him. Yirkavu, he can't eat it anymore, it's got to rot. Yirokvu, you can't eat the Bikurim anymore. My love Mishum, the loy motzilim mikri alayu. Isn't it because you can't read anymore? Aram Yevidavi, it's too late. And therefore you see that the kriya is what's ma'akev. He needed to read the pasuk. Visa kataytech kriya ein ma'akevet bahem. Amayiroku, if you're going to tell me that reading isn't ma'akev, that you could eat it even without kriya, so why rot? Why sit and let it rot? You should eat it now. So you see that you have to say. He has to say, Ram Yevidavi. You have to say that you need kriya. Otherwise, why should you let it rot? This guy brought it to the Beis HaMikdash beforehand. So eat it. If the kriya is not ma'akev. You want to say that you don't need to say the pasuk to eat it? Of course. Otherwise, why doesn't this poor guy eat his fruit? He schleps his fruit all the way to Yerushalayim from, I don't know what, the north of the country. Why is he letting the fruit rot? Obviously because he didn't say. So could Rabbi Zera. You know why? Because Rabbi Zera, Rabbi Zera, Kalaroi lebila, ein bila makeves. This is a kalal that v'kol she'ein roi lebila, ein bila makeves. V'kol she'ein roi lebila, bila makeves. So the kalal is that sometimes the Torah says you have to do something. This example is, for example, kriya. You have to say you have to do kriya, right? It's a mitzvah to do kriya. If you didn't do the kriya, it's fine. Let's say he would eat it before the chag in the Beis HaMikdash. Fine, you don't need kriya. It's not ma'akav, but it's got to be really clear. It's got to be in the parish of kriya. You have to be able to have done it. So since now it's after the zman and you can no longer even do a kriya, so that's ma'akav. It's not ma'akav to do it, but it's ma'akav you should be able to do it. So we go with bila. You're supposed to mix the shemen. If you didn't do it, you're supposed to do it. If you didn't do it, no, it's fine. But if it's in a kli that you can't even do it, then it's possible. So even though the actual mice is not ma'akav, it's not. I'm trying to say ma'akav. Even though the mice itself is not essential. However, you have to be able to do the mice for it to be chal. So here. He can't, since he can no longer even do kriya, it's got to rot. Rav Acha, Masi lo kederbasi, Rabbi Yechanan, Bekashe Rabbi Yechanan, Rabbi Yechanan. So Rav Acha said this whole thing. Rav Acha, Masi lo kederbasi, Rabbi Yechanan. He said this. Meimran said not Rav Gidl Amarav. He's saying this b'shem Rabbi Yechanan. And then he has a kasha. A contradiction, Rabbi Yechanan, Rabbi Yechanan. Meaning what? What's a contradiction? Sorry, this name, I'm not Rabbi Gidl Amarav, Rabbi Elazar, Rabbi Hoshea. Did Rabbi Yechanan really say that with Bikurim, putting it down in front of the Mizbech is Ma'akev Kriya Ein Ma'akev Esbahen, but reading it is not the Ma'akev? Ravasi, who says his name, asked Rabbi Yechanan, Bikurim. This is interesting. Bikurim. Guy brings fruit. When can the kohen eat this bikurim? V'amalei haruin lekriya. What does it mean haruin lekriya? Mishakar alei. Any fruit that you can do kriya on, so you have to do kriya on. V'she'ein ruin lekriya. If you can't do kriya on it, then mishiru pnei bayis. Then once the fruit comes into the Beis HaMikdash, once it's in there, kasha kriya, and kasha hanacha. So there's a contradiction kriya, and there's a contradiction hanacha. This seems to be nothing. What does this mean? This doesn't seem to mean anything. Rashi says, Mishir Pnei Abayis, Mishir Konsul Azara. Once it's in the Azara, Vanacha Lo Makeves Kal, you don't need Hanacha. So what do you mean, Mishir Pnei Abayis? Well, as soon as you bring it into the Azara, you can eat it. You don't need to even put it in front of the Mizbeach. Well, who says that? So there's a contradiction in Hanacha. Here he says it means as long as it's in the base of as long as it's in the Azara, you bring it to the base of English, it's already, you can already eat it. And here he says Hanacha, you got to do Hanacha in front of the Mizbeach. So Kriya lekasha harab shivin harabonon. Kriya is not a kasha because this is B'shitas Reb Shimon, and this is the sheet of Rabbanon. Hanacha nami lekasha. That's also not a kasha. Harab Yehuda v'harabonon. This is Rabbi Yehuda, and this is Rabbanon. So which Rabbi Yehuda is this? My Rabbi Yehuda. What are you talking about? Who's this name Rabbi Yehuda? My Rabbi Yehuda. The Tanya. A new brisa. Rabbi Yehuda Aimna. It says in the pasuk Ve'nachtoi. It says you should put it down. You take the Bikurim Ve'nachtoi. I'll read the pasuk inside. Let me find the pasuk. The pasuk says, where's the pasuk? Here you go. V'ata hine vesias reishis pri adoma Hashem asatali Hashem. He brings the rachis pri ve'nachtoi lifnei Hashem elakecha. He puts it down in front of Hashem elakecha. V'ishtachavisa lifnei Hashem elakecha. You bow down. So there's a thing called hanacha. You just a whole procedure. You take it, you put it down on the floor of the next to the mizbeach. Ve'nachtoi. Supposed to put it down. So what does it mean ve'nachtoi? So you think it means, hanacha means laniach, to place something. So he says ve'nachtoi zu tenufa. What does ve'nachtoi mean? It really means tenufa. What's tenufa? You shake it like Arba Minim. Left, right, forward, backwards, up, down. You do nanuim. You do the nanuim. So you shake it. Ve'nachtoi zu tenufa. And the Mefarshim explained that it can also, the nach also has a shirish to mean to move, not just to rest. Shvanach, I don't know, there's like stuff that moves, I can't remember. But there's a mashma is also of movement in the word vanachtoi. Vanachtoi is a tenufa. Atayim is a tenufa. Does it mean moving or does it mean putting it down? I'll tell you, I can prove it. Because it says later on in the pasuk, Venichai, the next pasuk over, it says Venichai something or other. Venichai, Hare Nacha, that's Hanacha. So why did it say it twice? Amamani Mekayim Vanachtai. So what does Venachtai mean? Zu, Tenufa. It says later on Venichai. So this means Tenufa. It says in the pasuk later on, it says, beforehand, V'lokach HaKayin Atena B'yadecha. The kohen takes a tenet, the kohen takes his basket with fruit, and he puts it in front of the mizbeach. So you already have the henichai. What do you need this v'henachtai? Henichai and nachtai, what do you need both for? So therefore, mani mekayim henachtai is zoyu tenufa. So this must mean tenufa. Uman tonet the polygaled Rabbi Yehuda. So who argues with Rabbi Yehuda? So who's the one that argues with Rabbi Yehuda? Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, this is Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov at the time, it says in the Brisa. Right, that's the pasuk. The kohen takes his basket. I don't think this is the word they use nowadays. Tena basket. So what does this mean? This tells me that the fruit need tenufa. The bikurim need tenufa. Divrei Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. This pasuk tells me you need tenufa, not ve'nachtai. This pasuk tells me you need tenufa. My time with Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. How does Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov learn from this pasuk tenufa? Where did it say tenufa here? Asya yad yad. He makes a hekesh yad yad. Mishlamim. Ksif hacha v'lach hakayin atena miyodecha. It says here you take miyodecha from his hand. Ksiv yod of the vieno. It says in the pasuk yod of the vienoi and the pasuk that says ve'naftai, the next words in the pasuk is ve'naftai. Sorry, ve'naftai. What is in the pasuk? I read inside. Yodav Tevieno, Lohan, if I say Tenufa Lefnei Hashem. That pasuk where it says the Yodav Tevieno, says first, you shake it, right? You give it a good shake. So he makes Akash. Here it says Yad there. It says Yad here, it means shaking. There it means shake it. V'chsiv Yodav Tevieno, Esishay Hashem. Makankaya naf, Kankaya, Malan Balim, Maflan Balim makes the whole Hekesh, the Kaya and the Balim. The Kohen puts his hand under the hand of the Yisrael. It's a shaila if it's a chatzitza, if it means next to it. But the Kohen holds this fruit basket, and he holds the Yisrael's hands together, and I guess they're doing it together. They shake the peiros. So basically what it means is like this. According to Rebbe Eliezer ben Yaakov, this Veinachtai is spare. You have two Veinachtais now. So if you have two Veinachtais, Veinicha Veinachtai, then it's Ma'akav. The Hanacha is Ma'akav. If you anytime the Torah says something twice, it doesn't just mean it's a mitzvah, it means it's Ma'akav. If it say once, it means mitzvah. But if it says it twice, that means it's Ma'akav. So since he knows from a different pasuk, from this Hekesh, the whole shaking thing, so he has he has Veinicha Veinachtai spare. It's extra. That means, according to him, it's ma'akav. But according to Rebbe Eliezer, you learn from it, from one of the psukim, one of Anichais, you learn shaking. So it says it twice. Once it means shaking, once it means put it down. But then, if there's only one pasuk that says put it down, there's no ma'akav. I never knew this principle before, that if it says it twice, it's ma'akav. Once, it's not ma'akav. Okay, we'll wrap it up here. Have a wonderful day. Shkoyach.